Hi there, I'm Bella, and I want to share something deeply personal with you today. At 23, I made one of the scariest decisions of my life. I left my comfortable, small town and moved to London. Not for adventure, not for sightseeing, but for something much more important: to conquer my fear of speaking English back home. English felt like this impossible mountain I could never climb. Every time I tried to speak, my voice would shake, my words would jumble, and I'd watch people's confused faces as they struggled to understand me. The embarrassment was crushing. I'd retreat into silence, telling myself I'd never be good enough. But deep down, I had this burning desire. I wanted to connect with people from different cultures, to understand movies without subtitles, to read books in their original language, and yes, to learn that dream job at an international company. So I packed my fears along with my suitcase and stepped into the unknown. London hit me like a tidal wave. The accents, the speed, the sheer volume of English everywhere. It was overwhelming. I remember walking into my first English class, my palms sweating, wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. Mrs. Thompson, my teacher, had this warm smile that immediately put me at ease. Welcome, Bella, she said gently. Remember, we're all here to learn together. Looking around at my classmates, Maria from Spain, Chan from China, Ahmed from Egypt, I realized I wasn't alone in this struggle. Then, Mrs. Thompson introduced something that would change everything. The shadowing technique. It's like becoming someone's echo, she explained. You listen to native speakers and repeat everything they say, matching their rhythm, their emotion, their very essence. That evening, I sat in my tiny London flat with my laptop, feeling both excited and terrified. I found a simple English podcast and pressed play. A woman's voice flowed through my earphones. Good morning. How are you feeling today? I paused, took a breath, and whispered back. Good morning, How are you feeling today? It felt strange, like I was pretending to be someone else. But I kept going. 5 minutes, then 10, then 20. My tongue felt heavy at first, but gradually, something magical started happening. The sounds began to feel familiar. My mouth started moving more naturally. I wasn't just repeating words. I was absorbing the music of the language. The first time, I successfully ordered coffee without the barista asking sorry. What was a moment I'll never forget. 1 cappuccino. Please, I said clearly. And she just smiled and nodded. Such a small interaction. But it felt like conquering Everest. I started carrying a little notebook everywhere, jotting down phrases I heard, new words that caught my attention. At night, I practiced them in front of my mirror, watching my mouth form the sounds, seeing my confidence grow. Reflection by reflection. The shadowing became my daily ritual. I'd find a quiet corner in the local library, put on my headphones and become the shadow of BBC presenters, TED Talk speakers, even characters from English TV shows. People probably thought I was talking to myself, but I didn't care. I was building something precious, my voice in English. The real transformation began when I met Sophie, another English learner from Germany. We bonded over our shared struggles and decided to practice together. We'd meet at cafes, in parks, anywhere we could speak freely without judgment. We created little challenges for each other. Go ask that shopkeeper about their opening hours, Sophie would dare me. My heart would race, but I'd do it. And each time, I'd return a little braver, a little more confident. Soon, our duo became a group. James from Italy, Aina from Brazil, and David from Poland joined us. We formed this beautiful, imperfect English-speaking family. We'd share stories about our countries, laugh at our mistakes, and celebrate every small victory together. The real test came when I joined a local speaking club. Walking into that room full of confident English speakers felt like walking into a lion's den. But I remembered Mrs. Thompson's words. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's speaking despite the fear. When my turn came to share, I stood up on shaking legs and said, "Hi, I'm Bella, and I want to tell you about my journey with English." I spoke about my fears, my struggles, and my daily practice. When I finished, the room erupted in applause. A woman approached me afterward and said, "Your story gave me goosebumps. Thank you for being so brave." That night, I wrote in my journal, "Today I didn't just speak English. I connected with people through English." That's the real magic. As months passed, I started changing my entire environment. My phone, my laptop, even my inner monologue gradually shifted to English. I began dreaming in English, the ultimate sign that the language was becoming part of me. I landed a part-time job at a local bookstore. The interview was terrifying, but I spoke honestly about my passion for learning and my commitment to improving. "Your enthusiasm is contagious," the manager said. "When can you start?" Working there was like having a full-time English tutor. Every customer interaction was practice. Every book recommendation was a chance to express myself. I learned to handle complaints, share book suggestions, and even lead children's storytime sessions. One of my proudest moments came when a shy new student named Yuki joined our speaking group. She reminded me so much of myself, terrified, convinced she'd never improve, ready to give up. I took her under my wing, sharing my shadowing techniques, practicing conversations with her, and most importantly, showing her that mistakes weren't failures. They were stepping stones. "Bella," she said one day, "you make me believe I can do this." In that moment, I realized something profound. I wasn't just learning English anymore. I was helping others find their voice too. The ultimate test came when my school invited me to speak at their annual international student event. Standing before 200 people, I felt that familiar flutter of nervousness. But this time, it wasn't paralyzing fear. It was excited anticipation. I spoke about the power of persistence, about how shadowing had transformed not just my English, but my entire relationship with fear. I shared my story of going from someone who couldn't order coffee to someone who could inspire others through words. The standing ovation that followed wasn't just for my English. It was for the journey itself, for the courage to keep trying when everything felt impossible. Today, I want to leave you with this. Your accent might be different. Your grammar might be imperfect. Your vocabulary might be limited. But none of that matters as much as your willingness to try. English isn't about perfection. It's about connection. It's about finding your voice and having the courage to use it. The shadowing technique that changed my life is simple. Find audio content you enjoy. Listen carefully and repeat everything you hear. Match the rhythm, the emotion, the flow. Do it daily, even if it's just for 10 minutes. Your mouth will learn. Your confidence will grow, and gradually you'll find yourself thinking in English. Remember, every expert was once a beginner. Every fluent speaker was once where you are now. The difference isn't talent. It's persistence. It's showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when the words feel clumsy in your mouth. I still practice shadowing today. I still make mistakes. I still have moments of doubt. But I also have something I never had before. The unshakable belief that I can learn, grow, and connect with anyone, anywhere in the world. Your English journey might look different from mine, but the destination is the same. Finding your voice and having the courage to use it. So start today. Find that first audio clip. Take that first brave step, and remember, I'm cheering for you every step of the way. The world needs your voice. In English, in any language, in any way you choose to share it. Your story matters, your perspective is valuable, and your journey toward fluency is just beginning. Welcome to the adventure. Welcome to finding your voice. Welcome to becoming the English speaker you've always dreamed of being. You've got this, and I believe in you. 6 months after my speaking event, something incredible happened. Mrs. Thompson, the teacher who once believed in me when I barely believed in myself, approached me with sparkling eyes. She said, "Bella, I have a proposition for you." She had been offered the chance to start a new English conversation program for international students, and she wanted me as her assistant instructor. I was stunned. Me? A teacher? I stammered. Old insecurities crept in. I was still learning myself, but she smiled and said something I'll never forget. "That's exactly why you're perfect. You understand their struggles because you've lived them. You know what it's like to be afraid, to make mistakes, to want to give up. That's not just experience, that's empathy." I spent the entire weekend thinking about it. Could I help others the way she helped me? Could I turn my journey into something that lifted others up? By Monday morning, I had my answer. I walked into her office and said, "Yes, I'll do it." The first class was terrifying, but in a different way. I wasn't afraid to speak English anymore. I was afraid I wouldn't know what to say as a teacher. 15 nervous faces stared back at me, each carrying their own fears, their own stories. I took a deep breath. "Hi everyone, I'm Bella," I began, my voice steadier than I expected. 2 years ago I was sitting exactly where you are now. I couldn't order coffee without my hands shaking. I couldn't ask for directions without rehearsing the sentence in my head 20 times. But I want to tell you something important. Being afraid doesn't mean you can't succeed. It means you care enough to try. I saw shoulders relax, faces soften. In that moment, I understood they didn't need perfection. They needed connection. They needed to know their fear was normal, their struggle valid, and that they weren't alone. I introduced them to shadowing, but I did it differently than Mrs. Thompson had. I shared my old recordings, my shaky voice, the mispronunciations, the awkward pauses. "This is what I sounded like," I told them, "and this is what I sound like now." Even I was surprised by the difference. One student, Maria from Colombia, raised her hand. "How long did it take you to sound confident?" she asked. I smiled. "I'm still working on it," I admitted. Confidence isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. Some days I feel like I can conquer the world in English. Other days I stumble over simple words. The difference is, I don't let the stumble stop me anymore. Soon, word spread about our conversation program. I found myself teaching 3 classes a week. Students from Syria, Taiwan, Morocco, each bringing their own challenges and dreams. Hassan, who wanted to be a doctor, had excellent grammar but feared his accent. Lin from Taiwan knew thousands of words but struggled with pronunciation. Fatima from Morocco wrote beautifully but froze when speaking aloud. I created different techniques. We celebrated accents as unique voices. We did shadowing drills with restaurant phrases, job interview dialogues, and personal stories. Slowly they grew braver. They began to laugh at mistakes, cheer each other on, and most importantly, they found their voices. The breakthrough came during our monthly story circle session. Each student had to share a short story about their hometown. Hassan spoke about the beautiful ancient architecture of Damascus, his voice growing stronger with every word. Lin described the night markets of Taipei, her pronunciation clearer than ever. Fatima painted a vivid picture of Marrakesh's bustling souk, her words flowing like poetry. When they finished, the room erupted in applause, not just for the stories, but for each other. In that moment, we weren't just learning English. We were building confidence, connection, and community. One evening, while reviewing their progress, an idea struck me. Why not create online resources that could reach learners everywhere? I started a simple blog called Shadow Speakers, posting weekly shadowing exercises, pronunciation tips, and motivational stories. To my surprise, people from over 30 countries began following. They shared their struggles, their small victories, their dreams. I received messages like, "Bella, your exercises helped me pass my job interview in Australia," and I gave a presentation at work in English for the first time. It was overwhelming, humbling, and beautiful. I realized my personal journey was becoming a bridge, connecting people across borders, showing them fluency was possible, and that their dreams were achievable. Then one day, an email arrived from David, a former student who had returned to Poland. "Bella," he wrote, "you taught me that learning English isn't just about grammar. It's about finding your voice. I want to help others find theirs too." That message sparked a movement. We started a network of conversation clubs across Europe: Warsaw, Barcelona, Berlin. Each club shaped by its own culture, but united by the same core values: empathy, shadowing, and fearless practice. We organized monthly virtual meets, watching a student from Madrid help a learner from Prague, seeing friendships form through the bridge of English. It was everything I had dreamed of. Of course, not everything was easy. One semester, the university planned to introduce standardized testing for all conversation programs. I understood the need for structure, but I was afraid we'd lose what made our program special: the human connection. So I requested a meeting with the academic board. Standing in that formal conference room, facing professors and administrators, I felt like that scared girl from 2 years ago. But this time, I wasn't speaking just for myself. I was speaking for every student who had found their voice in our program. Fluency isn't just about test scores, I said. It's about the moment Hassan realized his accent was beautiful. It's about when Lynn confidently took a customer's order in English. It's about when Fatima spoke her written words aloud and discovered her voice was just as powerful as her pen. I shared data on our students' success in real-life situations: job interviews, presentations, daily conversations. The numbers were good, but the stories were even better. The board listened, and in the end, they agreed to keep our program's flexibility while offering optional tests for students who wanted them. It was a victory for what mattered most: people over numbers. 2 years into my teaching journey, I received an invitation I never imagined. The International Conference on English Language Learning asked me to deliver a keynote speech. Standing before hundreds of educators from around the world, I thought of my journey, from a terrified student who couldn't order coffee, to a teacher inspiring others to find their voice. "Friends," I began, "language learning isn't a mechanical process. It's a deeply human experience." I shared our techniques, our struggles, our small triumphs. But most importantly, I shared our stories. The response was incredible. Educators from Japan, Brazil, Egypt, and Canada wanted to create similar programs. I realized we weren't just teaching English anymore. We were building a movement. And the proudest moment of all, when Yuki, one of my shyest early students, video called me from Tokyo. "Bella," she said, "I have 30 students now. Yesterday, one of them told me I changed his life. I told him about you, about how you showed me that our fear can become our strength." That's the ripple effect. Not just students becoming fluent, but students becoming teachers. Teachers becoming mentors. Mentors becoming leaders in their communities. All because someone, somewhere, reminded them that being afraid isn't the end, it's the beginning.